Ciao from Pietro, ciao from the limited edition. It is another episode of our The Independents, where we tell you the stories about our passion for independent watchmaking, the artisan watchmakers, the stars of tomorrow that are building incredible pages of a history of horology in this day and age. I couldn't do this alone. I have a partner in crime in Johnny McElherron, our editor from the limited edition, from the Watch Press. Hi, Johnny, how are you?
Pietro, all is good with me. Thank you very much indeed. And looking forward to another really good and a conversation with a difference, I think, this one, Pietro, because there's a lot of personal lived experiences involved
Absolutely.
in what we're going to be talking about today. Unfortunately, it's not my lived experience. I didn't get to do this, but I know that you have had an incredible experience.
Well, but you're always involved, Johnny, and you're always responsible for whatever happens at the limited edition, because it all started with a vision that we conceived together a long time ago. And yes, today is a special one because not only we are going to introduce you one of our favorite watchmakers, but also a longtime friend of mine. We started in the world of watchmaking and luxury in general a long time ago, together in a way. So he was on the cool brand, I was on the underground brand. And of course, he's still on a very cool brand because he's the founder of Singer Reimagined. Mr. Marco Borraccino is live with us from Geneva. Ciao, Marco. How are you?
Ciao, Pietro. Ciao, Johnny. Great to see you again.
Fantastic.
I'm doing well. I'm really, really excited for what is going on with what we recently released. So very, very happy.
Absolutely, because it's not a coincidence that we have Marco here today. We are actually in the aftermath of a big launch, a collaboration on a watch that is called the Flytrack On The Road, obviously based on a Singer Reimagined technology, aesthetics, and brand. And here it is. Thank you, Johnny, for putting that forward. Yes, fair to say, Marco, we are really proud with the result. We are happy now that it's out in the world, and I have to congratulate you as well because these last months have been very big for you. I know, your partner gave birth to your first child, which is an amazing news.
Yeah.
And still, you kept the creativity going. As busy as you are, you haven't lost 1 inch of the inspiration that made you famous in independent watchmaking. So how are the times for you, Marco? It must be hectic.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. Maybe you can see my eyes are quite. Yeah, not sleeping very much because of the baby. Maybe Marcello is is something amazing that happened. Like he was born in November, and now it's 3 months and a half. It's great, but not sleeping at all. So, and then a lot of things going on the brand side. So we recently launched this incredible piece with you with the limited edition, and a lot going on for the next of the year as well. So yeah, my planning is quite thick in this moment.
It's
yeah.
Sorry,
Congratulations, anyway. Yeah, welcome to the real world now. Like, we've got responsibilities, Marco. So no more diving out and saying, see you in 3 weeks, darling. And,
you know, Johnny, when watchmakers are asked which one is the watch that they prefer in their own collection, and they always ask, you can't choose between different babies. And
Exactly.
Now that concept of baby will be put in a different perception, in different perspective, I guess. Though, for
Yeah,
you.
Totally.
definitely. It's an incredible adventure. Really.
So, Marco, for the few that wouldn't know about Singer Reimagined, you are a watchmaker inspired by a very, very unique story. You know, your regular watchmaker, the guy that comes from making watches or restoration for years and years and then sets up his own production. But your story is very, very different. Can we, in a nutshell, remind to the audience what Singer Reimagined stands for?
Yes, I would say my background is very much into the design of watches or products more in general. I've been designing watches for the last 20 years, passing by few interesting brands. And back in 2015, I had the chance to meet somebody that became first a friend and then a business partner, that is Rob Dickinson, that is the founder of a Singer vehicle design. So I'm a big passionate cars, beside watches, and more in particular Porsches. And when I saw what he was doing on these Porsche restorations, I lost my mind completely, because they are just incredible pieces of art. So discussing with him, we find that we had a lot of things in common, and in the end, the idea of creating a watch and a watch brand that would reflect the same philosophy, the same spirit of the restoration that he was doing on his car became a reality quite quickly. I mean, the idea of remastering, re-engineering a classic, not a watch but a function, is and it still is something quite edgy in terms of approach. So we are not referring to any watch in particular. We are the objective of the brand is to really taking an iconic watchmaking function and pushing it to the next step. So that's what we did.
Sorry to cut you there, but this is something very interesting, Johnny. We have talked so many times about how chronographs are actually sometimes underestimated for being so commonly out there, at disposal, from so many brands. But it's very, making a chronograph is one of the biggest challenges in watchmaking. And secondly, reinterpreting the classic start, stop, reset function is something that has not been necessarily attempted beyond the monopusher chronograph eventually over the last decades. So the relevance of the chronograph, Johnny, it was not a simple endeavor to take on.
The chronograph is one of the great complications, actually. I think people tend to take it for granted because it is pretty ubiquitous. It's a lot of guys, they get their first watch, it has to have buttons on it, and it has to have 3 dials on it, and it has to do all sorts. They don't know why, but it has to have those things. And so it's identified with sports. You see their favorite racing driver or their favorite footballer or something wearing a chronograph watch, and there's this connection with sports. So much as I don't think that any particular complication should be associated with any gender, it's a kind of a male thing, I think, the chronograph, and it has and so the guys want, you look at the popularity of some of the biggest selling watches today, they're chronographs, and so I think that in some way kind of dilutes how sophisticated and how complex the chronograph is, and how violent it is too, because that the action, the energy that is released and harnessed by pressing your stop, start, reset, it's a very very explosive.
From a chronometrical standpoint, of course, it has a very, very huge influence on the accuracy of the watch itself. And so Marco, the success was immediate because you got the accolade of the GPAG pretty quickly, and the rest is history, really.
Let's say that we've been working very hard before the release of the watch and during, and we're still really working hard to make people understand what Singer Reimagined stands for in terms of chronograph and in terms of philosophy, because it's true, we reimagine a chronograph, but what we did was to take a huge risk making this, because everybody was so used, and still is, to see the chronograph in a certain way. And what we propose, what we offer, is something that is completely different from anything else. So it takes time to people to get used to it. And yeah, we see here the edition. The watch looks minimalistic because it's meant to be minimalistic in the design, but the complexity of it is just hidden, because when you turn the watch, you can see the movement and the solution that we found technically at the edge of eye watchmaking. So the idea with Singer, both Singer Reimagined and Singer Vehicle Design, is to present things in a very understated way, I would say, because the complexity, the engineering of the thing has to be taken in charge by us and to be used by the client. So the client doesn't need to worry about the technicity of it. And the design itself, as the design language that we use, it's really the design language that comes from an era, a period of time it's really something that excite my dreams. So
when racing was still about racing back in the days, and it was less about machines and computers.
Yeah, and you can see the level of finishing, the amount of finishing. We really go into the object in a very, I would say, maniacal way. We really take every single detail to the extreme to deliver something that just has to look perfect and has to be perfect under any aspect.
So, and on here with the Flytrack, so it's actually the second step that you took to reinvent what we call a chronograph, but the Flytrack is not necessarily technically a chronograph.
Exactly.
Is a timekeeping instrument that goes beyond the chronograph itself, because it's not your start and stop reset, which you also had on the track one, but which was illustrated display in a completely different way from the center outwards. But the Flytrack is the second born and even more intuitive way of measuring time, because it's all driven by a running second that goes around constantly and can be reset on demand to time whatever event is unleashing in front of you. And so this brings another layer to your interpretation on how to measure time and how to make the most of time eventually.
Yeah, I mean, for Singer, for me, the Flytrack movement, the Flytrack family is the time-only movement that we have. So it's hours, minutes, and seconds. As I told you in the beginning, what we do at Singer is to reinterpret it, to reimagine things. And I really like the idea of being able to interact with my watch, even though it's not a chronograph, because you have all the accuracy that a chronograph could have anyway. So we developed this clutch system combined with a zero reset mechanism, a flyback zero reset mechanism that allowed you to disengage the sweeping second from the movement and release it to use it as a 1 minute counter as many times as you want.
Yeah, intuitively, if you keep resetting the second, obviously it would have an impact on the time, on the accuracy of the timekeeping. So of course, then the technical challenge was to completely detach it, basically, as you've done.
Exactly. So when you push the button, technically speaking, you At the same time, you disengage the second hand from the movement wheel, and you bring the second hand back to 0. As long as you keep the push button down, the second hand will stay at 0. When you release the push button, you release the second hand, literally, that is engaged again with the movement and start running again. So you can keep the push button down 2 hours. You won't affect at all the timekeeping of the watch. And the same, you can play with the second hand 100 times, and the hours and minutes will always indicate the right time.
And for those, of course, that have missed this detail, of course, the hours are given by the external triangle pointer that we see here now between 5 and 6, and the minutes with the regular central hand that is now pointing here 27 past 5, basically.
You should forward it a little bit, because the minute hand looks like it's aligned with the hour marker, Pietro. So let
me do it. Let me do that.
Yeah. And so there we go. There we go. So we're now at 6. We're 6 o'clock, 10 past 6. Fabulous.
And of course, the second, as we said before, keeps working like if it was a small second, but it's actually technically not a small second. No, Marco, it gives you the perception that yes, the movement and the watch is in motion, but it's not necessarily accurate in terms of the indication of the seconds. It's an instrument. It's not a display.
It can be accurate, because the push button can be used as a 0 reset function. So you set the time, and you reset your second hand to 0 to...
Let's do it. Let's do it now. So it's now 4:18 in the UK. So I'm going to go backwards.
But this is the thing. When you pull out the crown, it's got a hacking system, so the watch stops when you pull out the crown. So you can calibrate it. If you're listening for example, to the 6 o'clock news or something like that, old fashioned, like now you just look at your device and you wait for the seconds to come around to 58, 59, 60, bang, and you can calibrate your mechanical watch absolutely.
Exactly.
And so you, by releasing the second hand at that precise moment, this is Marco. I know that Singer Reimagined do the track 1, the GPHG award-winning, multiple GPHG award-winning watches are more technical and more sophisticated. But as a pure time-only watch, I am so blown away by this, guys. I think you've done an incredible job on this one. I love it. And can we remind some of the technical specs? Of course, it's a 10 pieces limited edition. It's a 43 millimeters case that wears very much like a 42 on my wrist. And it's a combined case of titanium and steel with some beautiful finishing, which is basically a game of brushing and shiny polishing on the case. It gives a very, very nice depth to the to the aesthetics. Let's put it like that. And then at the back, of course, is proprietary Jouvenot 6364 caliber that was developed exclusively with Singer Reimagined. And it's a manual winding, this one, which is different from the movement on the Flytrack, which has a hidden rotor and it becomes an automatic. But I do like that. I love the trick of the hidden rotor, mysterious ghost rotor, if you like. But I do love taking care of my timepiece and actually manually wind it when I wear it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the crown on the track, on the Flytrack, is also thicker compared to the track one, because you are meant to wind your watch every 2 or 3 days. So is easier when the crown is a bit larger.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see here with a very nice grip as well. Very
So
nice.
you took this concept to Jean-Marc Frederic and his team at Agenor. The manual winding movement was developed exclusively for Singer Reimagined. What was that experience like for you, Marco?
But it's being able to realize what you project is part of the magic of being at the head of a company like Singer. We are able, thanks to our partners, to make things happen. And when I came with this idea to Agenor of the movement with a playful second, they immediately took the challenge on, and we moved forward quite quickly. Then the COVID and all the things that happened in the between, but the technical development of this solution took quite a long time, because the reliability of the push button and all the central system that you can appreciate in the center of the movement require a lot of very fine tuning. So it's challenging, is exciting, is something I love to do, and I feel lucky to have the chance to be able to bring this idea to make them reality.
Yeah, it's exceptional. I am so in love with it. We have a couple of comments here from Roger. Thank you yet again for joining us and helping us by contributing with your comments, Roger. Very much appreciated as ever. Your comment: I love sports watches with manual movements, and there aren't many of them, especially a movement of that caliber. And it really is working with Agenor. They are what I would describe as movement concept into reality specialists. That they take something that is literally reinventing the chronograph, as we know, in for the first time in over 200 years, to recreate or reimagine how the chronograph could function. And so I think a great company to be working with. Roger also thinks that it would look awesome on a steel bracelet. Have you had a sneaky look, Marco? Do you go and say, and have a little look at this? Have you seen a Singer on a Flytrack on a steel bracelet?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm moving quickly on.
Good answer.
Maybe.
Yeah, we will move quickly on. So
there was a challenge as well, Mark, on how we conceived this idea, because we have something in common. In a long time we've been knowing each other. We've had a bit of fun, as youngsters back in the days in Milan, where enjoying life and traveling was definitely one of the things that was much more on the table than what it may be today in so many ways for both of us. But yes, we try to reason and to think about the different perception of time, because the Flytrack is ultimately an instrument to measure the time, and measuring time is a very big topic when we reflect really deeply on it. And the fact that depending on the different situations in life, the perception of time can be really, really different. And we reason around how the perception of time especially changes when we travel on the journey. And I remember as a teenager reading Jack Kerouac On the Road and being absolutely completely inspired to be traveling for the rest of my life, as far as I was concerned in those days, and really enjoying that amazing feeling that traveling gives you, where time becomes somehow irrelevant in so many ways. So we found that the Flytrack, with its instinctive and very, very quick and resolute way of measuring the time, was definitely the instrument that you would want on a trip on the road.
Yeah, it is. It is an object that is a companion that that doesn't have to be invasive in your life. So when somebody else look at your wrist and they cannot tell the time in your watch, very likely, if they don't know what it is. The same way, when you look at your watch, you're not obliged to read the time itself. So it's something, telling the time with a Flytrack that it's really personal. It's really up to you if you want to know what time is it, and if you want to measure something that is going on in that precise moment. So it's, yeah, the relation with time and different perception of time it can be quite I would say intriguing and related to this kind of watches.
Yeah, how many times do we look at our watch and have to take a second look because you haven't looked at what time it was, because you're just admiring it and you're just looking at it and appreciating it?
Oh, that's a great point.
So, but it is true, isn't it? Like, a lot of times, Sylvie here, my wife, say, see me looking at my watch, what time is it? I have to take a second look because I actually wasn't looking for that information at the time. And
a watch tells a lot about your who you are and your personality if you choose the watch because you like it. So when you're purchasing and investing in such a watch, is because there is a connection between you and the object, and it reflects in a way your state of mind or your taste, your way of being. So when you wear the watch, I mean, personally, as you said, I look at the watch like a sculptor rather than a timekeeping device. Then I use it as a timekeeping device maybe 3 times a day, but I enjoy the fact that I can use it in a very different way compared to any other watch.
You probably do notice your watch 100 times a day subconsciously without really taking on board what time it is, or just to look down. It's an extension of your personality. I 100% agree with that, and that's why there are so many different styles, so many different method ways of design, watch design. That some people it's their grail watch, other people will go, I don't see what it's all about. Particularly whenever it comes to a watch that you have to think about it a little bit to understand what is actually going on, like the Singer Reimagined watches do. They create that you've got to think about them, and of course they're intuitive once you have become familiar with it, which only takes a moment. It's once seen, it's instantly remembered. I think, but there.
And the thing is that after maybe 5 minutes you wear the watch, you get instantly to read the time. It's just a matter of get used to it. We are so much into reading the time with 2 hands, one for minute and one for second, or one for hours, and we've been taught to read the time that way. It doesn't mean that it's the only way. So what we are doing here is to use a wider surface of expression to play with the design of the watch and to create an object that is definitely unique. At a certain point, it becomes also a talking piece, because you're sitting at a restaurant and the guy that is beside you that is interested in watches look at you and doesn't probably know the brand, or if he knows the brand, it become even more interesting. And it happened every time people getting close to me or close to clients and asking, to see the piece, because it's something that intrigues. So that's also, I mean, a nice way to get to discuss with people and to exchange with people.
It is worth mentioning the level of details, of course, that Singer Reimagined has been going through to get to optimal readability, which is what, when we call a time display minimalistic, is normally to leverage on the contrast between one dark color and one more shiny color, like we've done with the anthracite base of the dial and the aluminium orange minute counter, that creates perfect readability. And even at night, because this is enhanced by Superluminova on the hands and on the markers as well, which gives a perfect readability at night as well. Not to go on the on the movement characteristics, because as we said, autorology standards for the finishing of the movement and the highest engineering as well, because this is a movement capable of giving 60 hours power reserve, is made of more than 300 components, 314 if I'm not mistaken. And it's a performant machine, which again can master two functions at the same time: the time telling, as well as the possibility to measure some amazing events that may occur in front of you when you are traveling in a legendary trip across America or wherever you may find yourself. So
speaking of which, where did this the inspiration for the On the Road come from, Pietro? Someone has sent me a few photographs today, and refresh your memory a little bit,
there were two options. Yeah, there were two options: getting me on a Porsche and trying to drive it properly, which is an option that Marco discarded straight away, quite wisely, or actually relating to some legendary trips that really were a school of life for me. And this is, I think, the first time we published this picture. This is 1996, the Monument Valley in Arizona. Best trip ever. After reading Jack Kerouac as I was a teenager, that trip in particular really gave me the feeling of what it means really traveling on the road. And we had some great adventures, and it's something that has shown me definitely a line of behavior for the rest of life. From that point on, I wanted to to meet international people, to connect internationally, to speak languages, and definitely taught me a lot. The things that were happening on that trip definitely required a better timekeeper, which I didn't have at the time, and even forget about being able to afford it at the time. So the memory went back to that, and yes, these are real pictures. This is a real picture of what only traveling you can experience it and fully understand. But thank you, Johnny, for investigating and digging these out for us. But yes, Marco, I think the concept of on the road is again really related to how we enjoy and we understand time, because we talk a lot about time. We have to, as we are passionate about watchmaking, but the meaning of time is not being cracked yet. And is that the force that is still driving us to play with time, to find different ways of measuring time? How does it work for you?
Is mainly when you become father, you realize time becomes very different, and I just understood it. So my relation with time is changing a lot in the last few months. But the fact of being able to measure time in a proper way and with a specific tool is something that always fascinated me. I've been collecting quite some interesting piece from the past that of course became also my inspiration of some sort. And when you see the ingenuity that was behind the development of some product developed in the 60s and 70s, with the means of that time, the idea of Singer make full sense, because today we can go much farther with this development, thanks to what we have today, the power of the machine we have. So it's a completely new how to say approach to how we can measure time, but paying a tribute to what has been done in the past by people that were for sure much clever than we are, because they had to much more to get things done.
Talking about philosophy, how far you can go on a passion like the one we are lucky to have for watchmaking. And John, you're about to say something.
Well, I was just looking at the say, like you, I was looking at how you managed to go across the States on horseback, so to speak. I think
for a short track, yeah.
Sure, yeah, per horse. So, Marco, you did it slightly differently, yes?
That was quite a road trip. It was rather a rally. That was fun.
I am free anytime you want. You need to
you can tell that the difference in the style, straight.
That's a picture a good friend of mine took.
Excellent.
And,
excellent. Great memories, yeah.
It is, because when you can put together the several of your passions, like being on a trip with friends, driving interesting cars, and sharing great moments and memories, everything becomes just incredible. So this picture are related to a rally we did from LA to Monterey a few years ago. We were probably 25, 30 cars, and we've been driving 8 more hours through the desert between the two cities, and it was magic, because we choose a path that were, of course, traffic free, so the trip was longer than what you can do normally, but at the same time we went through landscape that were magical. Unfortunately, I was very fortunate to be alone in my car, because I was able to drive the way I wished, but unfortunately I wasn't able to take pictures at the same time. So it was I have really few proof of this
well, imagine
trip.
Marco, imagine how I could take pictures in 1996 in my road trip. So I think we're very happy with the material you have produced for this.
It was fantastic. And when I think about a road trip, even though it is not technically the same thing, this one was really a memory that I would never forget. And the capacity, the ability of measuring instant events is it immediately makes sense, because we are child. We are child in the end. So when you're driving with other friends, the race is there. So you want to know how much faster are compared to somebody else. So you will take the time to see.
And you're Italian as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it happened.
Well, I think all this, folks, it's a wonderful backstory to a really, really fabulous watch, and it gives, where we see limited editions coming out for basically for their own sake, but for this one, there's a lot of thought has gone into its own raison d'etre, if you like, and there's a lot, as I said at the start, Pietro, there's a lot of shared life experiences have gone into creating the Flytrack on the Road, and it is You know,
I think there's a lot of definitely a lot of Marco in what Singer Reimagined is.
Yeah.
I believe, Johnny, there's a lot of us in what the limited edition wants to be, yourself, myself, and the whole team behind. And I felt on this project in particular that everything came together in a very special way. And we are actually quite proud to mark the moment before the storm that is coming with Watches and Wonders, to find the time to actually reflect on how fun can be to conceive watchmaking that also is there for a use and not just for the aesthetics or just for the mechanics. And yes, Marco, if we can remind as well who's watching this broadcast now live, and thank you very much for that. Of course, this broadcast will stay there for a fair amount of time for everyone to catch up later on. But yeah, we have decided to go for 10 pieces limited editions. For a 10 pieces limited edition, so it can be found on the limited edition website, the limitededition.co.uk. You'll find it listed there, along with a full collection from Singer Reimagined. We are, of course, official retailers for Singer, and the watch is here. And the very important thing is that the watch is actually available in stock at the moment. We are talking to, obviously, as you can imagine, a few clients that are making their reservations as we speak. But as we speak, it's still available and can be delivered on request. So get in touch with us if you are craving for this incredible timepiece. And thanks, Johnny, for sharing this.
There is one detail that we didn't mention about the watches.
Of course.
Is a limited edition of 10 pieces, and each piece is numbered on the case with a 18-karat gold digit. So the little number one that you see on the lower corner of the watch is actually the case serial number. So this is number 1 out of 10.
So cool. So cool. And I am going to actually save you any problem. If you're wondering what to get me for my birthday, which is today, I will actually. So I think, Pietro, you have my address details. So
I think so, Johnny. I think so. I'll travel on the road to deliver that for you. Sure. And talking of which, a trip on the road to Ireland is very much in the agenda before we finish this, because the Festival of Time will be on in September this year, and Johnny is obviously the proud conceiver and organizer, founder, owner, everything, curator, and Johnny, I hope that Singer may make an appearance.
Very hopeful that
we are talking about it, and
it's gonna happen. It's I know it comes in a busy time of the year for the watch industry, and we simply couldn't get our slot this year in May, which was the end of May, which is a grand time. I am looking at what we do for 2024 if they'll have us back, but I'm definitely looking forward to a really diverse and fascinating collection of watchmakers and independent brands and independent artisan watchmakers joining us in September this year in Waterford in an extraordinary setting. Hopefully we will be able to get to reach a wider audience this year. Last year was the inaugural one. We were only a couple of months after lockdown, so this year we're looking forward. We're ramping it up a little bit scale wise, but not in a way that I'm not looking to turn it into some kind of mega show with 50, 60, 100 brands.
Very simply, it was and it will be the most amazing watch curation ever seen in Ireland, which I have witnessed the first time, and I think the second one will be even magnified.
Well, especially if we have Marco and Singer Reimagined there to join some of the other great names who have confirmed already, and the others who I am pestering on a daily basis to pull the finger out and get their confirmations in. So we're looking forward to having about 30 people exhibiting this year.
Fantastic.
Can't wait.
Gentlemen, it's been one of the most pleasant, hours of watchmaking, chatting and talking and reflecting. Thank you, Marco, for what you do, which is really inspiring. It has been over the last 20 years, and it's getting better and better. And
thank you for supporting us, Pietro.
It's a great pleasure, and we'll see you very soon in March. We look forward to see what's next in the pipeline. Unless you want to anticipate something here, but I'll
just say maybe.
Maybe.
I hear you.
Maybe we go back to the maybe. We were talking about a bracelet, weren't we? Okay, we'll leave it there. And Johnny, thank you for being the soul and the energy and the drive behind the watchmaking expertise that goes into the limited edition. And thanks for these broadcasts. And to the audience, thank you very much. Every single comment, every single new subscriber, every single view pushes us to bring along new intelligent content, as intelligent as we can, all related to the love for independent watchmaking. So thank you, everyone, and we shall see you very, very soon with the next episode.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Marco. Bye.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Pietro.